nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media. Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story, aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story. Buy more for less this summer, from cookware to curtains, comforters, and more. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
5 o'clock.
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The #1 choice for label printing is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 32 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, battle lines are being drawn as PNP leadership race takes shape.
30-day report from JPS on the June 5 island-wide blackout submitted to the Energy Minister.
CEO of NARA urges strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa.
My ask of you is that when I come to have a conversation with you about it, that you participate.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake says domestic violence remains one of Jamaica's most significant public safety challenges.
NHT workers restive over the progress of wage negotiations.
In news from the rest of the world, Venezuela demands release of their frozen assets for post-earthquake reconstruction.
Paramount and Warner Brothers sued to block $1 billion merger deal.
In sports, France and Spain set for potential classic as World Cup resumes with first semi-final.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, is calling for strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. He made the call while addressing the Recovery and Rebuild Jamaica Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James on Sunday. We'll bring you more from his speech.
In the nation's business at 6:25, Jamaica's net population growth in 2025 was 600 people. What are the factors contributing to this? We'll hear from social commentator and educator Dr. Karen Dunkley and attorney at law Christina Williams.
And at 7, it's the comments section. This evening, they're asking, what is the biggest contributor to the plunging birth rate? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM. All these and more as we take you home on air Nationwide 90 FM this Monday afternoon. It's Monday, July 13, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Nationwide News understands that the resignation of Dwayne Vaz as deputy spokesman on Roads and Works is the early move in what's expected to be a long race to elect the next leader of the 88-year-old People's National Party, PNP. It is widely expected that Mark Golding will face a challenge for the post of president when the PNP puts the leadership issue to a vote at its annual conference in September 2027. The main challenge to Golding is expected to come from MP for Northwest St. Catherine, Damian Crawford. More in this report from George Davis.
The PNP's lost to Holness's JLP in the general election held on September 3, 2025, had a discombobulating effect on many in the Mark Golding-led party. And over 10 months since the defeat, equilibrium continues to elude those who were certain Mark G would lead the orange takeover of Jamaica House. Our sources tell us that since Holness completed his trip last September, there has been a growing sentiment inside the PNP that Mark Golding missed his chance to lead the country and must make way for a new comrade leader. And it's on the back of that discontent that Damian Crawford has been quietly building a coalition that his supporters hope will design and execute a successful tilt at the PNP presidency come September next year. Our sources say Crawford, who in recent years has been cast by the PNP as the hype man in chief wherever a comrade needs a boost at a political meeting during election season, is ready to shed that image and relinquish that role. Crawford, we are told, can count on the support of at least 12 of the 28 MPs on the opposition benches. We've been told that his growing support has spooked the Golding camp, and that's what we've been told contributed to the decision by Central Westmoreland MP Dwayne Vaz to remove himself from the slate of deputy opposition spokespersons. Vaz is a key ally of Damian Crawford. The PNP issued a terse statement last week saying Dwayne Vaz relinquished his duties as deputy spokesman on Roads and Works to focus on constituency responsibilities. But it's understood that Vaz expected to be promoted to the job of spokesman on Roads and Works following the resignation of Richard Azan. Azan had come under fire inside the PNP for failing to highlight what the PNP views as the shortcomings of Portfolio Minister Robert Morgan. Vaz is understood to have been told by Golding that he would not be promoted and that his time was best spent focusing on his constituency. That, we understand, was what prompted Dwayne Vaz to walk away. Vaz's allies say the second-term MP was victimized. They say Mark Golding would never promote him to the full spokesman role, as doing so would give a Crawford ally a national platform to speak on issues. On the weekend, there was a flurry of activity on PNP platforms across social media, with the looming Crawford-Golding battle and the attendant collateral damage being the main topic of discussion. That activity was fed by a story carried by BOJ TV that Vaz would be challenging a Golding ally, Colin Hitchman, for the leadership of the PNP's Region 6. That declaration has prompted a flurry of criticism of Dwayne Vaz by some comrades who are upset at what they say is his attempt to destabilize a region that has regained its luster as a bastion of PNP support under the guidance of Hitchman. George Davis for Nationwide News.
Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says he has received the findings and reports from the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, concerning the June 5 island-wide blackout. In a statement on Monday, Minister Vaz says JPS submitted the findings and reports within the stipulated 30-day time frame in keeping with the government's directive. At the time of the blackout, JPS said its critical transmission infrastructure in sections of Kingston and St. Andrew was adversely impacted by heavy rain and lightning. According to the Light and Power Company, the weather conditions resulted in generator trips that shut down the electricity network. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, has also received the same reports as part of the regulatory review process. Minister Vaz says the ministry has commenced a detailed technical review of the reports in collaboration with the OUR and other relevant agencies. He notes that the ministry will continue to keep Jamaicans informed as the review progresses and that any decisions or recommendations arising from the reports will be communicated in a timely and transparent manner.
CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, is calling for strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. Major General Anderson was speaking at the Recover and Rebuild Jamaica Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James on Sunday. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness announced Anderson's appointment during the post-cabinet media briefing on May 27. He disclosed that Anderson, Jamaica's most recent ambassador to the United States and a former commissioner of police, was selected from a shortlist of 7. That number was whittled down from a pool of 120 applicants received from within the island and overseas.
We apologize for the incorrect insertion there. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake says domestic violence remains one of Jamaica's most significant public safety challenges. He made the assertion in the latest edition of his force orders on Monday. According to Dr. Blake, early intervention is critical to preventing violence from escalating into homicide. It comes as the country recorded a 22% decline in murders within the first 6 months of the year. There was an overall 12% decline in major crimes. But Dr. Blake says domestic violence continues to threaten lives behind closed doors. He notes that many cases begin with minor forms of abuse before escalating into severe violence. The commissioner says this situation underscores the importance of the JCF's domestic violence and intervention centers. These centers, he says, receive more than 7,000 complaints each year, with 27% of reports now being made by men. Dr. Blake says the figures point to growing confidence in the specialized services provided by the centers. He is urging the members of the JCF to remain vigilant in responding to domestic violence. The commissioner highlights that early intervention is an essential component of the police's broader crime reduction strategy.
The police constable charged with the fatal shooting of Latoya Buju Bulgin in Granville, St. James, is scheduled to return to the St. James Circuit Court for a case management hearing on October 9. Constable Andrew Wilson appeared before the court on Monday. Robian Williams reports.
Constable Andrew Wilson had his $1 million bail reinstated after it was revoked last Friday when his case was transferred from the St. James Parish Court to the Circuit Court by way of a voluntary bill of indictment. On Monday, Wilson's attorneys King's Counsel Peter Champagny and attorney Michael Hemmings successfully reapplied for bail, arguing that their client had complied with all reporting conditions since he was first granted bail in the parish court. The presiding judge granted bail on the same terms and conditions previously imposed. During Monday's hearing, the court was informed that several documents remain outstanding from the prosecution's case file. These include the transcript of Wilson's interview, the post-mortem report, and a biology certificate relating to evidence collected at the scene. The court also heard that the arresting officer's statement, the forensic certificate, and CCTV footage have not yet been disclosed to the defense. The judge ordered the prosecution to provide the outstanding documents by August 7. Wilson is charged in connection with the May 17 fatal shooting of Latoya Bulgin, who was reportedly transporting people to the scene of a street protest when she was shot while driving. The incident, which sparked public outrage, was captured on CCTV. Since January 2024, 66 law enforcement officers have been charged in relation to incidents investigated by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM. Of that total, 10 police personnel and 1 correctional officer were charged in 2026. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News. Back to a previous story now. CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, is calling for strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. Major General Anderson was speaking at the Recover and Rebuild Jamaica Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James on Sunday. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
On May 27, Major General Anthony Anderson was announced as the new CEO of NARA, which is tasked with overseeing the rebuilding process following Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, which impacted the country last October. In one of his first major appearances since assuming the role, General Anderson spoke at the Recover and Rebuild Jamaica Expo held in St. James. The event, put on by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, was described as a national recovery marketplace, bringing together rebuilding products, services, professionals, government agencies and financing options in response to Hurricane Melissa. General Anderson told his audience that NARA's success is dependent on not just the work of the office, but the stakeholders who assist in rebuilding efforts.
My commitment to you is that you'll get everything from me to get this done. My ask of you is that when I come to have a conversation with you about it, that you participate. My recommendation is let's release for a moment cynicism. Let's apply our talent to see how we can even do better. How can we get better outcomes? How do we do it faster? Let's think about that. Let's focus on the outcomes, because those are the outcomes that are going to create a different Jamaica. We talk about resilience and rebuilding. We need to rebuild and be resilient and at the same time achieve significant economic activity.
With persons still in need of assistance after the hurricane, General Anderson cautioned that the call for reconstruction must not be answered with reckless rebuilding.
So, with the best will in the world, contracts are issued and they're done sequentially, because you have to move the people from one thing and the equipment and move it to another one and do it that way. And that's the way the planning has been. Urgency is what we're about now, and speedy outcomes and an accelerated process. But what that is not is undue haste. You can't do it in a fool way. To achieve haste, you don't do it properly. That would be as big a tragedy as probably not doing it at all. So there is a deliberate and focused approach to how we do things.
According to Anderson, NARA will collaborate with entities to ensure key rebuilding projects take place in the quickest possible time.
At this stage, there's a significant data gathering, series of engagements, collectively and individually, with people who are already doing great things and who have perhaps things lined up for the next few years. Some of those things need to come forward and be done now. And those ones that are considered national strategic projects, the ones that go to NARA. And we will deliver these things with partners in some cases, with program managers and program consortiums in some cases to support entities to get things done. So we have a suite of ways that we can engage.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5:16.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 32 in Montego Bay.
A voice you love returns home. This August, afternoons on Nationwide, on air and online will never be the same.
Continuing the news, workers at the National Housing Trust, NHT, are restive over the progress of wage negotiations. The workers are represented by the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, UCASE. Its General Secretary, John Levy, told Nationwide News that negotiations have stalled.
Essentially, there has been no movement. That same two and a half is where the negotiations have stopped for the longest while now. And the workers, as all of us would realize by now, their expenses are running way ahead of their income. And we believe that the NHT can put a reasonable proposal on the table. And the workers are becoming a bit agitated, a bit antsy. And quite frankly, the mood is not one to recommend right now. We are hoping that the Ministry of Finance can find some efficient and effective means to get this process going, because it is not the company per se who are having the difficulty with now. Apparently, they have to report back what the Ministry of Finance says. So they are like a go-between right now, and it's not encouraging. Let me put it that way.
John Levy, General Secretary of UCASE. In a letter dated today, Monday, July 13, UCASE states that despite the dedication and willingness of staff to consistently go above and beyond, management has advised the union that the latest response from the Ministry of Finance remains unchanged. According to UCASE, it has engaged in these negotiations with patience, respect, and a genuine desire to reach a fair and reasonable settlement through meaningful dialogue. But it says, unfortunately, its good faith has not been matched by meaningful movement at the bargaining table. UCASE says while it remains committed to a lawful and responsible industrial relations, members should understand that it is actively considering all legitimate options available. UCASE has been at the bargaining table for some 3 months, with at least 6 meetings held so far.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Venezuela has demanded the release of their frozen assets for post-earthquake reconstruction. Interim President Delcy Rodriguez has formally asked King Charles III to release approximately 30 tons of its gold reserves being held at the Bank of England. The request follows the country's devastating twin earthquakes on June 24. The Venezuelan gold has remained frozen in London since 2019, following a prolonged legal dispute over the country's political leadership. Rodriguez says the $2 billion assets are needed to support humanitarian relief and infrastructure rebuild.
A dozen U.S. states have joined together to block the $110 billion merger between Warner Brothers and Paramount. The states claim the largest media consolidation in Hollywood history would stifle competition and raise consumer prices. A group of states led by California have filed a lawsuit to halt the deal. If it goes ahead, the new company would account for over a quarter of major film releases. Together with Disney, Universal, and Sony, just 4 conglomerates would control 86% of that market. The legal challenge focuses on 3 main areas: major cinema releases, massive blockbusters, and cable TV channels.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, battle lines are being drawn as PNP leadership race takes shape.
30-day report from JPS on the island-wide blackout submitted to the Energy Minister.
CEO of NARA urges strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa.
NHT workers restive over the progress of wage negotiations.
I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com, and please feel free to join our Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, the headlines at 6.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link.
24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-link?
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, by God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path. Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. New Zealand, they were struggling at 52 for 3. This after 12 overs and 2 balls. They're responding to 138 all-outs made by the West Indies in the second one-day international being played at Providence over in Guyana. Azari Joseph and Gudakesh Moti have so far taken the West Indies wickets. The other was a run-out. Earlier, Jaden Lennox grabbed the career best of 5 for 19 to sentence the West Indies to, as I mentioned, 138 all-out, and that came in 36 overs. It was a major collapse for the West Indies because at one stage they were 63 without loss after 10 overs. Opener John Campbell 43 and Amir Jangu 24 led the batting for the West Indies, who lead the series by 1-0. Jamaica registered a crushing 10-wicket victory over Guyana at Bethesda Ground in Antigua on Monday in the second round of games, and the Cricket West Indies Rising Stars under 19 cricket competition on Monday, chasing 226 to win. The Jamaicans made light work of the assignment, racing to 226 without loss in just 37 overs. Opener O'Dane Binns led the charge with a magnificent unbeaten 104. He struck 9 fours and 5 sixes, while Tyson Gordon provided excellent support with an unbeaten 83 as the pair ensured Jamaica wrapped up victory with 13 overs to spare. Earlier, Guyana were dismissed for 225 after Captain Parmeshwar Ram top scored with 78 and Shamar Apple contributed 58. Jade Moore 5 for 36 and Perico Henry 2 for 26 spearheaded the Jamaica bowling attack. Jamaica, who lost their first game to the Leeward Islands on Saturday, will next be in action on Wednesday against Trinidad and Tobago. Over at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, Trinidad and Tobago 184 for 7 defeated the Windward Islands 183 for 9 by 3 wickets. And Barbados, they recorded the biggest victory on the day. They crushed the Leeward Islands by 258 runs at Liberta. The Bajans piled up an impressive 439 for 8 from their 50 overs, and they were powered by a superb double century from their captain Gadsden Bowens. He hammered 209. Matthew Miller was the pick of the Leeward Islands bowlers with 4 wickets. In response, the Leewards were bowled out for 100 and 81. All 6 teams will be again in action on Wednesday. Football now. Following 2 days of calm, the FIFA World Cup will again exploded into life on Tuesday with the first semi-final at Arlington Field in Dallas, Texas, with 2 of the real big heavy hitters of the global game squaring off at 2 o'clock Jamaica time. The battle will feature the favorites France against the champions of Europe, Spain. The French have sailed through, they've sailed through all the stages to get here, while Spain, they had to negotiate a few tricky obstacles along their way to the last 4. Now, Les Bleus have been led by a freewheeling 4 frontrunners, Dembele, Doué, Olise, and captain Kylian Mbappe. But La Roja, they counter with a dynamic midfield led by pass masters Rodri and Pedri and their exciting teenage superstar Lamine Yamal, who is due one huge performance on the global stage. A tantalizing prospect awaits a global football audience that is sure to run into millions, perhaps billions, as the number 1 ranked team in the FIFA World Ranking confronts the number 3. Andrew Price is a member of the Nationwide Football World Cup panel, and he's looking forward to a classic between teams with contrasting strengths.
Well, it's going to be a gigantic European clash. 2 teams that are playing good football. Spain have only conceded 1 goal, so defensively they have been very strong. And as you know, France has been very prolific throughout the entire World Cup, and they score goals at will. So it will be a matching of defensive abilities of the Spanish and the attacking abilities of the French. But the Spain team also has good attackers in people like Yamal and company, and we expect them to report for business in the semi-finals.
Yeah, and Nationwide 90 FM, of course, will provide live coverage for you, as we've been doing for the last 33 days. And our coverage will get underway at 1:30 with our pre-game show. Andrew Price himself will be here with us tomorrow to build up to France against Spain in Dallas, Texas. So make sure you join us for that one. Of course, we'll also have live coverage of the rest of the tournament. The other semi-final on Wednesday featuring Argentina against England. And then, of course, we have the 3rd place on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the big final in New Jersey at the MetLife Stadium between, who knows, we'll just have to see how the 2 semifinals go. All right, that will do it for sport at the minute. We're going to be back with more at 6:05. That's our main sportscast. And Alex Swaby will be here to do that one for you.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:30.
From the vibrant waterfront setting of Ocho Rios Bay Beach to the breathtaking seascape of Laughing Waters, discover exceptional venues for your special events. The temperature by the Urban Development Corporation is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 32 in the western city, Montego Bay.
This is Nationwide's FIFA World Cup Fact, brought to you by Juicy Patties, serious Jamaican food.
Did you know that it took 28 years for England to win a penalty shootout at the FIFA World Cup? Yes, that's a fact. England lost each of its first 3 penalty shootouts at the tournament. The 1990 semi-final defeat to West Germany in Turin, the 1998 round of 16 exit against Argentina, and the 2006 quarter-final loss to Portugal. England finally ended their shootout misery with a 4-3 victory over Colombia at the 2018 World Cup in Russia.
That was Nationwide's FIFA World Cup Fact, brought to you by Juicy Patties, serious Jamaican food.
A voice, a personality you love, returns to Nationwide this August. Afternoons on air and online at Nationwide will never be the same.
Hey, turn up to 25. Turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride with a staycation all inclusive flex? Yeah. I touch a million cash. Yes, smart TV, PS5, and home upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM. Top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. A smartphone deal or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
At the forefront of making Jamaica a robust financial hub, the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority leads the charge with trust and integrity. An agency under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, JIFSA aims to foster economic diversification and boost Jamaica's business landscape. Centered on stimulating economic growth and encouraging investments, we take pride in cultivating a business environment that supports new opportunities. Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Dr. McLean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah, my friend.
And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else.
For those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon, listeners, viewers. Thank you for joining us for Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story again. I'm your host, Siobhan Campbell, and a special shout out again to all our YouTubers online. Please remember the new YouTube channel is NNR Radio Live. Please go over there to subscribe and give us a like. Today we're talking about Rebuild Jamaica. That is the message from CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson. He's calling for strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. Major General Anderson was speaking at the Recover and Rebuild Jamaica Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James on Sunday. Anderson says the first things NARA will do is map all the projects that are already done.
There's enough work in this process to go around. NARA can do its share, and every MDA, all the people who are seeking public-private partnerships and the private sector have to get on with it. We all have to get on with it. But we have to get on with it in a very sensible way. So, a little bit about another little bit about NARA. One of the first things that we are doing is getting a sense of all of the large projects that are taking place in the country. To do this, we have to have and have been having the meetings with the various MDAs, with the private sector, the construction industry, and anyone else who is thinking, and the private sector, of course, who are doing their own developments. And the reason for that, we really need all of this development, all of these projects mapped. We need to be able to look at Jamaica and see what's going on in space and in time. So, and the reason for this is, how do we get synergy? It doesn't make sense when we're prioritizing a project that there's a private sector project a private sector project that is going to be developed somewhere. It ends, and then it waits 6 months for something else to catch up to join it so that it can become functional or fully functional. That doesn't make any sense.
That's Major General Anthony Anderson, and sometimes you YouTubers are quite an interesting group. Dwight Mono, I have no intention of banning you or anything like that. Please speak your mind. That is the space for it. So there, Major General Anthony Anderson talking about making sure that they have proper synergies in place, working with the private sector through NARA to ensure the country can recover and rebuild properly following Hurricane Melissa. It's a good idea on paper, but how we get those synergies and how we ensure that coordination happens, it's going to be the real test and challenge going forward. I don't think there's a single Jamaican out there who has not had a story to tell in terms of engaging with the public sector, and I suppose that is the point where NARA comes into play. And let's hope NARA really does, as it is suggesting it will do, improve on those public sector bureaucracy issues that we've suffered for over the several years now. Well, Anderson says NARA must be outcome driven.
The great shame of it would be that 5 years down the road, yes, we have some construction that has taken place, and it's probably good, but we haven't built beyond that. We haven't created the platform on which future construction, development, and so on can take place. We haven't built the robust systems and adjusted our systems and mindset to understand that ultimately the outcome is what matters, and everything else is just designed to support the outcome without going off the rails. So even the gatekeepers and the persons who put the guardrails on what we do, and there have to be those, because we have accountability, we have transparency, even though they are there, they also have a duty and a mandate to deliver the outcome, because without the outcome, Jamaica wouldn't have, ultimately, we haven't done anything. It has to be outcome driven, right? And certainly our private sector people, generally, it's not hard to explain that to them, because they tend to be very outcome driven, because they have to get it done. Otherwise, the business goes, it's gone, and then that's it, out of your livelihood, out of your income.
Major General Anthony Anderson is, as a thought so said. So it would seem, based on what Major General Anderson is suggesting here, that he understands what is required of him, and he understands what is going to be expected from him, from the Jamaican people. I think far too often, and while he pointed out that the process is important, sometimes I think the bureaucracy in Jamaica believes the process is the point. And too often things get bogged down in that process. Why do we need a 30-day period to have something signed off on? Well, because the process dictates that it must be 30 days, even if you could get it done faster. And in those circumstances when, unfortunately, the process becomes the point rather than the outcome, you end up in a situation where the outcome is not desirable. And it is clear, based on what the Major General is suggesting here, that he understands the assignment. He understands what people are expecting and what should be done in the coming weeks and months in order to ensure that NARA hits the ground running and what is delivered is what the Jamaican people expect from it. Well, the Major General added building standards must also change after Hurricane Melissa, which was a Category 5 system.
There are many things in that process when we were looking at the post-burial review of how we responded, etc. There are many things in that process where you realize, based on history and historical norms, we were building to Cat 4 and Cat 3 standards. We've had 2 Cat 5s in the region. Things are getting stronger, so that's no longer the standard. So we have to change standards. Now, fortunately for us, and out of every crisis comes an opportunity. So the opportunity for Jamaica is that on the heels of this tragedy came opportunity right away. And the opportunity is that Jamaica was good in a position that people wanted to support our reconstruction and resilience efforts. So the money to do that became available, and largely because we have a good reputation for how we manage our money.
That is CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson. He was speaking at the Rebuild Jamaica Expo down there at the Montego Bay Convention Center yesterday, Sunday. Please stay with us. We'll have more from the Major General after these following messages.
The time by Grace Good Move is...
It's 5:45.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and it's also 31 out west in Montego Bay.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-Link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-Link?
Listen up, motorists. Every driver's license starts with 0 demerit points. But when you commit certain traffic offences, points are added to your record after payment of the traffic ticket at the tax office or conviction by a court. Quick maths. 10 to 13 points, a 6-month suspension. 14 to 19 points, 1 year. And 20 points or more, a 2-year suspension. Don't risk it. Obey the road code, drive responsibly, and avoid demerit points. This message is brought to you by the Island Traffic Authority.
A voice you love returns home.
Nice and clean, like Jesus police record.
This August.
Oh my God, my tympanic membrane.
Afternoons on Nationwide, on air and online will never be the same.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5, listeners, viewers. Thank you for joining us for the cover story. We are giving you excerpts from the Recover, Rebuild Jamaica Expo that was held on Sunday at the Montego Bay Convention Center down there in St. James. The headliner there is the CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, Major General Anthony Anderson. He's calling for stakeholders to get together with the government to deliver on this ambitious project to make sure Jamaica recovers not only where it was, but to push us even further as part of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority projects. Anderson has already said that he wants an outcome-driven approach to how we go about the work under NARA. He's also called for a reimagining or a more resilient building standard to better face up to the unfortunate reality where we face more stronger and frequent hurricanes going into the coming years. And he also is building on that, calling for what he says urgency for the construction projects, but he does not want efficiency to be lost in that endeavor.
Urgency is what we're about now. And speedy outcomes and an accelerated process. But what that is not is undue haste. You can't do it in a fool way, where you just, to achieve haste, you don't do it properly. That would be as big a tragedy as probably not doing it at all. So there is a deliberate and focused approach to how we do things. I say we've been in existence from last month, and so, and the way these things work is that you building a flight, and you fly it at the same time. So that's what you're doing. What does that mean in real terms? It means at this stage, there's a significant data gathering to look at the same thing I spoke about before, because that just makes sense to know what is going on. Series of engagements, collectively and individually, with people who are already doing great things and who have perhaps things lined up for the next few years. Some of those things need to come forward and be done now. New things need to be done. And those ones that are considered national strategic projects, the ones that go to NARA, essentially.
Urgency, but with efficiency. An interesting message coming from Anthony Anderson. I think far too often sometimes people believe that the two things are mutually exclusive, but it's entirely possible to do something right and do it swiftly. And in the case of getting Jamaica back on track, that is a necessary equation that needs to be calculated here, because there's so many Jamaicans across the country, particularly over there in the West, where that urgency is needed, but they need something of such standard that, just knock on wood here again, that if something similar to what happened to Melissa happens again, we do not have to come back here and redo the process again because of poor work being done. So I'm definitely on board with the message being put forward by the Major General. And as I said before, he does seem to understand what is expected of him. And according to Major General Anthony Anderson, going forward, partnership is going to be important to get things done.
And we will deliver these things with partners in some cases, with program managers, program consortiums in some cases, and in some cases to support entities to get things done. So we have a suite of ways that we can engage. And I believe it is the sensible mix of all of those that is going to take us down the road to the to the finish line, which is the outcomes we desire. And that outcome of infrastructure, the outcome of a expanded construction and building industry where people have invested because of the volume of work, but also a parallel process of training of more people and bringing them into the industry, from the level of engineer, architect down to who's working on the sites.
Interesting message there from the Major General. I want to see how this is now brought into force in reality, because while I do expect there to be some partnerships between the government and the private sector in terms of getting a lot of these NARA projects off the ground, as well as those projects I believe that the private sector will specifically have oversight of, and you hear it from the private sector that they're eager to get on board, they're eager to get this thing through as well. You heard from, I believe it was Ramon Small Ferguson, the CEO over there of Burrito Investments Limited, interesting enough, an opposition senator who said that even the private sector are kind of banking on NARA at this point as a means to get the country back on track. And I think even among the opposition, despite them having some concerns about the administrative and governance arrangements for NARA, I don't think they themselves would decline to believe that something like NARA in the face of Hurricane Melissa is required, and how we now go about getting those things done will be important. And I want to see from the government, as soon as it is entirely possible, I know they said they're working on it, but the full list of expected projects under NARA, plus the carve-out as to what they expect will be undertaken by the private sector, plus what potential project the private sector themselves can think of and put to the fore and bring to the fore and put to the government as to how they intend to get them done and how NARA can help them get it done. So I hope to see that in the coming days. The Major General also expressed that what he believes is that the development of digital platforms is going to be necessary to maintain the integrity of the system.
We should also come out of it with a proof of concept that says we can actually do things in a more abridged way and do things faster and still maintain the integrity of the process. So part of the thing is to develop the digital systems that things like an audit, you can almost do it live. End to end, you can see what is going on. And the view is, I believe the Act speaks to it, is that the things like the projects, the register of projects, progress and so on, we will have it on a digital platform. It will be on our website. That's how we'll communicate. It means that nobody has to come to you and tell you the information is there. You want to go see it? There it is. So that's the intention of it. Now we have to develop these things. So it's going to take a little while, but not a long while. But it's important to get these things in place, get it right, so we don't have to do it again. Let's get it right first time. And so, you know, certainly, as I say, my commitment to you all is that you'll get everything from me to get this done.
Quite the commitment there from the Major General. He says that full participation from all stakeholders is now going to be required for the reconstruction process to work.
My ask of you is that when I come to have a conversation with you about it, that you participate. My recommendation is let's release for a moment cynicism and let's think about, let's apply our talent. And I've been getting a lot from the diaspora and so on and people. Let's apply our talent to see how we can even do better How can we get better outcomes? How do we do it faster? Let's think about that. Let's focus on the outcomes, because those are the outcomes that are going to create a different Jamaica. We talk about resilience and rebuilding. We need to rebuild and be resilient, and at the same time achieve significant economic activity. That economic activity will trickle down. Everybody can participate in it in some way. And once we get that done, then yes, we have Mayor Road, new hospital, new town here, there, new urban center, but we have new thinking, we have a new way of doing business that positions Jamaica in this area, as it does in so many other areas, as a model of how you can do something in this world. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me and allowing me to share some of my thoughts and visions with you. It is exciting times. And I hope you guys are pumped about getting this done. And thank you, all the exhibitors, people who are coming. At this point, this matters, is very relevant, and I'm sure I'll be engaging in the future. Thank you very much.
That's Major General Anthony Anderson there. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. Clearly there, as I said, he has an understanding of what is expected of him. Now, the real question is, will he be able to achieve it under the current circumstances? And I don't think there's any Jamaican who wishes otherwise. So let's all get on board, as he suggested there. I don't know who the message was directed at specifically, but he said, let's cut out the cynicism. Let's try to get this done as the Jamaican people we are. But as said, the event was put on by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and was described as a national recovery marketplace, bringing together rebuilding products, services, professionals, government agencies, and financing options in response to Hurricane Melissa. So everybody's on board. Let's get it over the finish line. Thank you for joining us here for the cover story. We take a break for the headlines, and we come back at 6:25.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honeybee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brainbusters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezone blinddates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Nationwide News understands that the resignation of Dwayne Vaz as deputy spokesman on roads and works is the early move in what's expected to be a long race to elect the next leader of the 88-year-old People's National Party PNP. It is widely expected that Mark Golding will face a challenge for the post of president when the PNP puts the leadership issue to a vote at its annual conference in September 2027. The main challenge to Golding is expected to come from MP for Northwest St. Catherine, Damien Crawford. The PNP's loss to Holness's JLP in the general election held on September 3, 2025 had a discombobulating effect on many in the Mark Golding-led party. And over 10 months since the defeat, equilibrium continues to elude those who were certain Marky G would lead the orange takeover of Jamaica House. Our sources tell us that since Holness completed his triple last September, there has been a growing sentiment inside the PNP that Mark Golding missed his chance to lead the country and must make way for a new comrade leader. And it's on the back of that discontent that Damien Crawford has been quietly building a coalition that his supporters hope will design and execute a successful tilt at the PNP presidency come September next year. Our sources say Crawford, who in recent years has been cast by the PNP as the hype man in chief, wherever a comrade needs a boost at a political meeting during election season, is ready to shed that image and relinquish that role. Crawford, we are told, can count on the support of at least 12 of the 28 MPs on the opposition benches. We've been told that his growing support has spooked the Golding camp, and that we've been told contributed to the decision by Central Westmoreland MP Dwayne Vaz to remove himself from the slate of deputy opposition spokespersons. Vaz is a key ally of Damien Crawford. Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says he has received the findings and reports from the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, concerning the June 5 island-wide blackout. In a statement on Monday, Minister Vaz says JPS submitted the findings and reports within the stipulated 30-day time frame, in keeping with the government's directive. At the time of the blackout, JPS said its critical transmission infrastructure in sections of Kingston and St. Andrew was adversely impacted by heavy rain and lightning. According to the Light and Power Company, the weather conditions resulted in generator trips that shut down the electricity network. The OUR has also received the same reports as part of the regulatory review process. Minister Vaz says the ministry has commenced a detailed technical review of the reports in collaboration with the OUR and other relevant agencies. CEO of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, is calling for strong stakeholder participation to rebuild Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. Major General Anderson was speaking at the Recover and Rebuild Jamaica Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James on Sunday. On May 27, Major General Anthony Anderson was announced as the new CEO of NARA, which is tasked with overseeing the rebuilding process following Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, which impacted the country last October. In one of his first major appearances since assuming the role, General Anderson spoke at the Recover and Rebuild Expo. The event, put on by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, was described as a national recovery marketplace, bringing together rebuilding products, services, professionals, government agencies, and financing options in response to Hurricane Melissa. General Anderson told his audience that NARA's success is dependent on not just the work of the office, but stakeholders who assist in rebuilding efforts. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake says domestic violence remains one of Jamaica's most significant public safety challenges. He made the assertion in the latest edition of his force orders on Friday. According to Dr. Blake, Early intervention is critical to preventing violence from escalating into homicide. It comes as the country recorded a 22% decline in murders within the first 6 months of the year. There was an overall 12% decline in major crimes, but Dr. Blake says domestic violence continues to threaten lives behind closed doors. He notes that many cases begin with minor forms of abuse before escalating into severe violence. The commissioner says this situation underscores the importance of the JCF's domestic violence intervention centers. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Banton Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chaka my figure dig the wall.
Our total tools.
Lead walker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, leave a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God me say you watch you over me practice.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We bowl things off with some cricket as New Zealand reached 101 for 5 after 22 overs at sports time, replying to 138 all out by the West Indies in the second one-day international at Providence in Guyana. Kerry Perrier has so far taken 2 wickets, while Alzal Joseph and Gudakesh Moti bagged one apiece. The other was a run-out. Earlier, Jaden Lennox grabbed a career-best 5 for 19 to sentence the West Indies to 138 all-out in just 36 overs. It was a major collapse for the Caribbean team, who were 6 for 3 without loss after 10 overs. Opener John Campbell 43 and Amir Jangu 24 led the batting for the West Indies, who lead the series 1-0. On the women's side, West Indies women's captain Hayley Matthews says her team remains focused on completing a sweep over Ireland in their 3-match one-day international series. The Caribbean side secured an unassailable 2-0 lead with a convincing 6-wicket victory at the Breeding Ground on Sunday. The Windies produced a powerful batting display to successfully chase down a 242-run victory target with more than 11 overs to spare. Matthews, who slammed a century in the chase, says the work is far from over. In addition to the sweep, Matthews stressed the importance of collecting crucial World Cup qualifying points. The points could prove crucial as the Caribbean side continues its push up the standings in pursuit of automatic qualification for the 2019 tournament.
Points to play for in that last match. Every game is obviously really crucial when it comes to getting points for the ICC Championship. So, yeah, hopefully we can get 2 more on the board and get ourselves climbing up that ladder.
The teams will meet again on Wednesday in the final game at the same venue. Now, Jamaica registered a crushing 10-wicket victory over Guyana at the Bethesda ground in Antigua in the second round of matches in the Cricket West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 Men's 50-over Championships on Monday. Chasing 226 to win, the Jamaicans made light work of the assignment, racing to 226 without loss in just 37 overs. Opener Odean Baines led the charge with an unbeaten 104, striking 9 fours and 5 sixes, while Tyson Garden provided support with an unbeaten 83 as the pair ensured Jamaica wrapped up victory with 13 overs to spare. Earlier, Guyana were dismissed for 225 after captain Permeswar Ram top scored with 78 and Shamar Apple contributed 58. Jade Moore, 5 for 36, and Perico Henry, 2 for 26, spearheaded the Jamaican bowling. Jamaica, who lost their first game to the Leeward Islands on Saturday, will next be in action on Wednesday against Trinidad and Tobago. At Coolidge, Trinidad and Tobago 184 for 7 defeated the Windward Islands 183 for 9 by 3 wickets. Barbados recorded the biggest victory of the day, crushing the Leeward Islands by 258 runs at Liberty Sports Club. The Bajans piled up an impressive 439 for 8 from their 50 overs, powered by a superb double century from captain Godson Bowens, who hammered 209. Matthew Miller was the pick of the Leeward Island bowlers with 4 wickets. In reply, the Leeward Islands were bowled out for 181. Now, following 2 days of calm, the FIFA World Cup will again explode into life on Tuesday with the first semi-final at Arlington Field in Dallas, featuring 2 of the big hitters of the global game starting at 2 p.m. Jamaica time. The showdown will feature favourites France against the champions of Europe, Spain. The French have sailed through the stages to get here, while Spain have had to negotiate a few tricky obstacles along the way to the last 4. The Blues have been led by a freewheeling front 4 of Dembele, Doué, Olise, and captain Kylian Mbappe, but La Roja counters with a dynamic midfield led by past masters Rodri and Pedri and their exciting teenage superstar Lamine Yamal, who's due a big performance. The tantalizing prospect awaits a global football audience that will run into millions as the number 1 ranked team in the FIFA World Rankings confront the number 3. Andrew Price is a member of Nationwide's World Cup football panel, and he too is looking forward to a classic between teams with contrasting strengths.
Well, it's going to be a gigantic European clash. 2 teams that are playing good football. Spain have only conceded 1 goal, so defensively they have been very strong. And as you know, France has been very prolific throughout the entire World Cup, and they score goals at will. So it will be a matching of defensive abilities of the Spanish and the attacking abilities of the French. But the Spain team also has good attackers in people like Yamal and company, and we expect them to report for business in the semi-finals.
Andrew Price, Nationwide Live coverage of the game starts at 1:30 p.m. with a pre-game show. And now to some wrestling, as national wrestler Tyrese Tank Thompson has been selected as part of Jamaica's 259-member delegation that will compete at the Central American and Caribbean CAC Games in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic from July 24 to August 8. The Jamaican contingent, which comprises athletes from 27 sporting disciplines, will be looking to deliver strong performances across the multi-sport event. For Thompson, earning a place on the national team was no easy feat. He described his qualification process as demanding, requiring months of intense preparation, discipline, and determination.
It was a very strenuous process to get qualified. You had to went to a number of qualifiers, and you had to place in the top 8 for all qualifiers in order to be qualified for the games.
As he prepares for the competition, Thompson has embraced technology to gain a competitive advantage. He said the internet has become an important tool in his preparations, allowing him to study the techniques and tendencies of potential opponents before stepping onto the mat.
You know, social media and everything, you kind of know the guys that you're going up against. You know what they used to do, but you know everybody has to tweak their techniques for the games because they know that we're all watching and learning. So it's like every competition is a whole new playing field. No matter how many times you've seen the guys compete before, it's always a new guy at the competition. So I know that at the games everybody is going to come with their best. I'm definitely going with my best.
Tyreek Tank Thompson. And finally in badminton, Jamaica's junior and senior badminton players are preparing for a demanding competition schedule for the remainder of the year, with a series of local, regional, and international tournaments on the calendar. Following months of training and preparation, the national squads are gearing up to represent the island at several major events, including the Caribbean and Central American CAC Games, the Pan American Junior Games, and 5 international tournaments that will be hosted in Jamaica. National coach Marshall Ogle says the busy schedule presents an excellent opportunity for the country's players to test their skills against quality oppositions while gaining valuable international experience. According to Ogle, the first major event on the local calendar will be the Jamaica International Open scheduled for August. The tournament is expected to attract players from across the region and beyond.
We're expecting about 19 or 20 countries to attend, including US, Canada, a team out of, I believe, Scandinavia, teams as far away as Bangladesh and Egypt to attend, India. So it's going to be a truly international flavor for the Jamaica International. Shortly after the International is completed, you will have the Carabao Senior, which is a regional tournament that comprises teams from countries that the Caribbean Sea basically touches, which will include naturally the US, Central, South America, and that will be followed by the Carabao Senior Open, or individual tournaments. When that concludes, then you'll have the Carabao Junior and the Carabao individual tournaments. So there's 5 international tournaments. All those games locally will be held at UTEC.
Marshall Ogle, I'm Alex Raby, and that's your sports.
Parents, guardians, let's keep school mornings moving. The National Rural School Bus Program is now cashless, so don't forget to top up your child's student transportation card. Top up easily at any Operation Bill Express location island-wide, or simply download the Tap Jamaica app for quick and convenient top-ups. Fast, simple, secure. No cash in hand, just tap and ride. The National Rural School Bus Program, keeping our students moving every school day.
A voice you love returns home. This August, afternoons on Nationwide, on air and online will never be the same.
Summer just got cooler, and so did the prices. LG air conditioners are now at lower prices at Active Home Center. 12,000 BTU, 59,997 plus GCT. 18,000 BTU, 85,997 plus GCT. 24,000 BTU, 106,997 plus GCT. And if Bally's your brand, the offer still stands. Buy any Bally air conditioner and get $15,000 to spend on your next purchase store-wide. Conditions apply. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Ludlow McLean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah, my friend.
And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else.
For those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, by God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path. Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to The Nation's Business. Again, I'm your host, Siobhan Campbell. Thank you for joining me. And we turn to a very important topic, one that has been a part of the public consciousness for quite a few years now, and that's Jamaica's population numbers, because Jamaica's net population growth in 2025 was just around 600 people. This is in spite of close to 30,000 births. That's according to the 2025 Economic and Social Survey published by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ. More in this report from Gianna Willie.
At the end of 2025, an estimated 2,764,000 persons were living on the island. There were 1,368,000 males and 1,395,000 females. That means there were 27,000 more females than males. Also in 2025, 28,900 newborns were welcomed to the population, while 21,300 persons were laid to rest. That means there were 7,600 more births than deaths. But according to the PIOJ, net migration was estimated to be negative 7,000. So in effect, Jamaica added 600 people to its population in 2025. The PIOJ indicates that the country is undergoing changes that are reflective of the final stages of the demographic transition. This includes the simultaneous experience of low fertility and mortality rates, leading to low or negative population growth rates. It says this pattern is consistent with other countries, both in the Caribbean and around the world. The report notes a large proportion of the population remains in the working age group, which runs from 15 to 64 years. It noted, however, that there is an increasing elderly population. The share of the child population, which goes from birth to 14 years, continues to record a decline. The Institute says there are adequate people in the working population to support the dependent population. It estimates there were 46.3 dependents per 100 persons of working age. Migration continued to be one of the main factors shaping Jamaica's population growth and structure. The United States of America, Canada, and the United Kingdom remained the main destinations for Jamaican migrants. The PIOJ says there currently exists a window of opportunity, allowing for the harnessing of the relatively large pool of human resources to improve the country's social, economic, and environmental well-being. Gianni Willie, Nationwide News.
Thank you, Gianni. Well, to better understand the factors that contribute to this issue, we are now joined by social commentator, educator Dr. Karen Dunkley, attorney at law Christina Williams, and gender expert and social commentator Dr. Nadine Spence. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to you and your listeners.
Good evening to you all.
And my fellow panelists. Yeah.
Good evening to you all. Christina, I had not ever heard you. Christina, are you there? Christina?
Yes, hello.
Yes, now I can hear you. There we go. Thank you for joining us this evening. So, I mean, the information there, not as surprising because we've heard of this over the last few years, this concern of declining population. In fact, I believe this plus 600 is actually an improvement over 2024, where it was actually a decline in net population, but still not something to be very, very happy about because, I mean, 600 people added to the population pool over a period of time would suggest that Jamaica's rate of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Rate of, net rate of improvement in population growth is definitely either in a stagnant area or declining if you take the entire figure over a longer period of time. But outside of the declining birth rate, the other big issue, and I want to put it to you, Karen Dunkley, is this matter of immigration. Jamaica is and has remained now for this longest period of time a population that is increasingly leaving the island, and it seems not many are coming back. How do we now go about fixing that dynamic?
I think absolutely when we look at the causes of migration, and I read with great interest the PIOJ report because I said, oh my word, this is indeed concerning. But as you mentioned, we know that it's an ongoing conversation. So fundamentally, we see in terms of migration, it's an issue of economic opportunity, confidence in the future, and quite frankly, what it portends for national development. So what are the causes why people leave? They leave because, quite frankly, career opportunities that they might deem better in terms of the places the United States and the United Kingdom, Canada mentioned. They leave for higher wages. They're leaving for greater economic stability, safer communities. We know that we have seen a decline in crime, but safety also continues to be on the agenda. And quite frankly, more affordable housing and also better educational opportunities for their children. So if we look at what is driving the migration, we could absolutely find that these are some of the causes. So I think now we know what the solutions should be, and we can talk a little bit more about how we're going to nest and innovate economic opportunities at home to make Jamaica. Remember, we used to say we want Jamaica to be the place where everyone lives and grows and is happy, right? For Vision 2030. And I think we need to get back to that mantra in both thought and action.
And you're right, though, Karen Dunkley, that yes, the solution seems easy, but arriving at that solution as a third world developing nation, not so simple, though, is it?
I think it's skill and will. And so how do we keep our talent at home? How do we encourage, for example, younger families or those who are in their fertility years to have family and family support as fertility rates continue to decline? I think that we have to think about some innovative pieces. So for example, how do we expand parental leaves? How do we give some family tax incentives for when you have children? You know, what kind of childcare support outside of the limited time that couples are offered? How do we help to subsidize not housing, but also educational expenses? So I think you do raise that. Obviously, it is not as easy or it's easier said than done. But I think we need a task force or a think tank to come together and say these are going to be the 3 high impact actions that we can take to make Jamaica the most attractive place to build a life, to build a business, and to raise a family. In addition to, for those who have migrated, to return and to contribute.
Exactly. And Christina Williams, is there a positive that can be taken from this? If we've reached essentially the steady period of the country's demographic growth, is there some positivity that can be garnered from this?
One positive I would mention is that the workforce is attractive. Yes? The workforce is excellent because the fact that we are able to successfully migrate and integrate into these different societies and to take up space there and to thrive, it shows that the people of Jamaica, we're ambitious, we're hardworking, we're trying to pull ourselves up by the bootstrap, we're going to go feet, as we would say, we're going for the opportunities wherever they are. I think that's one positive to note. But then on the flip side, as Dr. Dunkley just mentioned, it puts an onus on government, private sector, and the different stakeholders to say then, well, if our workforce is so excellent, how do we keep this excellence home? Or even if they should leave, how should we ensure that it's not a permanent brain drain situation, but some kind of circular, they call it a circular migration, where yes, you leave, but you return at some point, and while you're away, you continue to invest in your country. I think that's where the interventions have to be. I think also beyond just the employment argument, which I think was, very well put by Dr. Dunkley, is also about other areas like safety. Yes, imagine if everyone, was earning a good wage, but while you're earning your good wage and you're living in your nice house, you want to also know that you can leave your door open and you can go outside. And if you're earning good money and you're walking around with your phone or you have your car or whatever material things you have, that you can walk around with it and not feel ill at ease. So I think it's also important to think about that, people are safe, that people can access proper health care, that the education is quality education, you can access. There are a number of factors in there that isn't just employment. I think that's very important because I think if we overemphasize on just the employment aspect of it, we lose sight of the other things that make quality life quality. And, Dr. Dunkley said it, we are talking about Jamaica, the place to live, raise families, do business, and there are a number of things there that we need to disaggregate. Because when I think about even the matter of doing business in Jamaica can be difficult at times, It's not always the easiest to set up a business here, open up a bank account, getting a loan. So yes, you may say, you know what, I would want to stay at home and start a business. I don't want to migrate. I'll stay here and start my own thing. But then you cannot because there's so many hoops you have to jump through. There's so many challenges in front of you that then you may say, but let me just get up and just leave and get a business and start a business elsewhere or find employment elsewhere. So that's something else to look at as well. How can we ensure that small to medium enterprises can start business quicker here, get investments into their business, have export markets? I know there's some things in place already through the government, etc., but there's always more that can be done. Also, the thing about retire with dignity. The data is showing that we do have an aging population, and while we're not at the place yet where those that are outside of the working age, 15 to 64, while we still have more within that age group than those outside of it, what we need to do is maximize that opportunity because there's going to come a time when we may have more people not working or more people retired than those that are working, especially if we continue to not supply or to resupply the younger age population. So right now we have this chance to ensure that our healthcare system can support our elderly population, can support non-communicable illnesses, can support the natural age, the natural situation that comes with aging. Also, the whole thing about care, I heard Minister Tupton talk earlier that we have 150,000 people in the care industry who are not being properly compensated, and we need to provide some support to those people. That also have to be looked at because the care economy is going to become very important to Jamaica's well-being because we're going to need to have more people to providing care for the elderly.
Interesting. And then sorry, we have to take a quick break there, Christina, please. So stay with us. And Dr. Spence, after the break, we bring you into this discussion.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:36.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10 or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Commercial space is for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC for you.
A voice, a personality you love returns to Nationwide this August. Afternoons on air and online at Nationwide will never be the same.
This station raised me. It gave me a voice. And if Nationwide has ever meant something to you, come on in. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
How old are you and do you want to have children? If not, then why?
I am 19 years old and yes, I do want to have children. For the primary reason of being able to nurture a young person to be able to pass on the life lessons that I garnered over the years, and to also be able to pass down values and family traditions as opposed to just those dying over time.
I'm 22 years of age, and the reason why I wouldn't want children right now is because it's very hard to finance myself right now as a young adult that's just leaving university. And I cannot imagine the burden and the stress that it's going to take on me to find the money, the clothes, other necessities to take care of another person, another child. So no, I don't think I want children right now, and that's just my opinion.
Hi, I'm 19. I don't see myself having children in the future because I simply don't like children. Children are expensive. You are responsible for them legally, financially, emotionally. It's a lot to put on one person, and I don't think I'm suited for that. As a 19-year-old, I've come to appreciate the independence that comes as I age, and having a child would completely strip me of that independence. I'd have to think about them every minute of the day. They have to think about what they're going to eat, where they're going to sleep, so many things that don't sit right with me. So I'll do without.
I'm 19 years old and I don't want to have kids. I've always imagined myself as career driven, extremely successful with a lot of money and traveling the world. And I feel like having children, especially in this economy, would interfere with that. Things are really expensive. The other day I saw that formula was like $8,000. That's a lot of money, especially seeing that minimum wage is currently $17,000. That's more than half of somebody's paycheck. This economy definitely does not support that. But other than financial wise, I also think that having children are a gamble, because what if my child comes out disabled? That's even more money, that's more patience that's required, and they take up a lot of time to take care of. And then I also do believe if you're planning to have a child, at any point in time, you have to prepare to be a single parent. My partner could get up one day and simply say, oh, he doesn't want to do this anymore, or my partner could die, and I just don't want to be a single mom at any point in time of my life. And those are my main reasons why I don't want to have kids.
Right, so I'm 26, and the reason why I don't want any kids right now is because I'd have to plan for them, as well as this economy. As you know, this economy is kind of crazy, so you'd have to plan accordingly, ensure that you're financially stable with you and a significant other, and yeah, that's that.
I'm 22 and I want to have kids. I want to have kids because I want a family. Family is very important to me. I grew up with most of my family members, and to me, that's the spice of life.
So a few of the Nationwide staff there asked the question if they want kids, and if not, why do they not want to have children? And that's, I know it's a good time to bring you in, Dr. Spence, because you listen to some of the answers they're given, and I was thinking it before I heard the answers, and now I'm even more concerned. Is there a level of selfishness and just a lack of understanding when it comes to this idea of having children? Yes, it's a sacrifice. Yes, there is an expectation that it's a level of responsibility and a level of duty that you take onto yourself. But it seems almost as if the generations coming up just simply don't want any responsibility whatsoever.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say they don't want that responsibility because it seems such a high-risk situation. And if you listen to the assessment seems fair. People are saying, I have some dreams for myself, and I don't think having children would be a part of that, or would coincide with that, or would support that dream. Or you hear people talking about the cost of it, and that's why, the way Dr. Dunkley framed it and Christina supported it makes you recognize that this is not an issue that is going to be solved by the individual. It is a policy-driven problem. It's a developmental issue. It's an issue that is going to be solved, or an issue that is perhaps going to be dealt with. I don't know if solved is the right expression. But certainly people want to look around and say, if I have a child, here are some support systems that I want to be in place to help me to ensure that I do not find myself in a situation where I cannot manage and where I have to sacrifice my own self for that. A lot of young people are getting a lot of information from a whole heap of different spaces.
I don't like interrupt, but I have to put it to you though, Dr. Spence. How does policy fix a matter where someone simply just says, well, it's going to cramp my style if I have a child?
Because the people are making that decision based on the environmental realities around them. And so that's what I'm saying. If it is that it becomes an issue where we ask one people, are you going to have a child? Are you going to have a child? People are going to give you their individual response. But if we build the systems that would support people saying, I see the systems in place to help me in the execution of this responsibility as a parent, then you will find people who will say, no, that's not my thing. And you find people across all generations who've chosen not to have children. But you might find that more and more people will want to take on that responsibility. It's a huge responsibility. A lot of these young people, if you ask them why, they will tell you what in their past they would have seen that would cause them to not want to take on this responsibility. And a lot of what we see in our society today tells young people that when you have a child, this is a responsibility that you will bear and you will suffer through if you have to suffer through alone. So we have to build the kind of responses in our society that will make people feel as if this is not just an individual decision, that if our society sees this as important, if our country sees this as important, there are policies, there are programs, there are support systems, child care, for example, making sure that these are the ways that a country supports individuals making that decision. Look here, I had one son, and I come from country. I used to have to walk with the thermos in the bottle in my bag and to get a bus. And then to go to clinic. When you go clinic, especially if you're young, there's a way that healthcare people treat you. It's not, when you go to some hospitals, if you are a peer, if you are a mother, the father cannot come in to support you having that child. You have to do it alone. And people will talk to you about just how complex and how problematic it is to have a child in this country. Do you know that our healthcare providers do not treat pregnancy as an illness? So when a mother turns up in a hospital or to a doctor to cover the cost of the prenatal care, she has to do it out of pocket.
Oh dear.
There's no healthcare coverage for women who are having children. So you have to think about the systemic issues and how those issues have to be fixed to allow people to feel supported in making those decisions.
Dr. Karen Dunkley, I want to take it up to 6:50 before we wrap up, but I want to get both you and Christina in again on this specific matter about having children. So, Dr. Dunkley, do you agree with Dr. Spence that it really does come down to a policy issue? Because I see it as a little more fundamental as a cultural problem in terms of what are the expectations of youth today versus what they saw their parents and grandparents going through.
Absolutely. I agree with Dr. Spence and Christine. I think Christine is an attorney, wholeheartedly. The policy is coupled with the cultural. We can't decouple it, right? So if having a family and having children is presented as sufferation, which now I listen to the young people, I was just so disheartened, but that is their lived experience, what they went through. So I think, again, we have to go back and look at the systems in place to make housing affordable. Look at the systems in place to reduce the cost of raising a child. Childcare alone, the monthly child allowances or tax credits. Talk about diapers and infant supplies. We have to look at paid parental leave. We have to look at employment opportunities. A lot of our parents are struggling in low-wage jobs. We have to look at how we strengthen father engagement. We see that a high number of our children grow up in single-parent families or with extended cares. And then something we didn't touch on today, we have to support fertility care. We have to make sure, for example, that people who need access to resources, whether it's IVF or fertility treatment, that they're able to get it. And again, make Jamaica the best place to raise a family. Safe communities, a great educational system, parks and recreation, reliable health care, efficient transportation. You heard what Dr. Spence said? She have to put this in the thermos and she on the public transportation and the broadband internet, so we have accessibility. So these are how we're going to create this family-friendly society. We must have it embedded in policy.
Yeah. And Christina Williams, I mean, one of the things that stood out to me in that little vox pop there was one suggesting they've planned for the potential of being a single mother, and I find that just a strange thing to leap toward as a young professional, career-driven professional such as yourself. What do you make of that?
What I would say is that we have to go back to the times when I said a village raised a child. And it was more than just a matter of teaching children values and morals, which is a very important part of it, but also the aspect of you're able to lean on your community. As you said, I'm a young professional woman, I'm a lawyer, and I'm in Kingston. And when I look around me and I think about if I should have a child soon, and if my grandmother who lives in Portland, if she's not around, or my father's not around, is also in Portland, who am I going to lean on here in Kingston? And there are many young people who, in order for them to be parents, have to think about what kind of support systems do they have. It's a very individualistic culture that we have currently. So as Dr. Dunkley said, it's a mix of culture and policy. And so if we can't create the culture again of that village, we have to then create it through policy of the government providing the systems that will provide the support. And I love the way she put it, that it has to be a full society approach of the safety, the security, the fertility support, the antenatal, postnatal, all of that, the employability. It cannot be a case where we're just focusing on whether or not people want to have children. It's to be, how can we create an entire society that welcomes and encourages. And honestly, I think that if we have a country that facilitates that, the people who want to have children will do so. And the people who are on the fence, who they're not going to know yet, they don't know. They're like, maybe it is likely that they will choose yes because they feel like it will be an effort that will be well rewarded and they will not feel overwhelmed by the task ahead of them. I think it is a wonderful thing for someone to be a parent, but I don't think we should romanticize parenting and not put the systems in place to support those who wish to become a parent.
I don't think anybody who's been through the parenting of the point where they've raised a full-grown person has romanticized it. I think they understand what it is.
But some people do, you know.
Look on and romanticize.
Some people romanticize it and don't understand. But one of the things that is really, really, look at what healthcare offers to mothers right now, and tell me if this is a society that is throwing its support behind people becoming mothers. If mothers have to pay out of pocket when they go to the doctor when they're pregnant, because our healthcare or insurance, healthcare insurance providers say pregnancy is not an illness, and so they will not cover it. What does that tell you?
Those are some realistic and I believe pragmatic questions that need to be answered. Dr. Nadine Spence, she is a gender expert and social commentator. We also had with us educator Dr. Karen Dunkley, as well as attorney at law Christina Williams. Ladies, thank you for joining me. Again, you brought some very positive insights to this very serious discussion that the country definitely needs to have. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
We take a quick break, listeners, and then we come back with Around the World.
The Nation's Business was brought to you by the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth. The Jamaica International Financial Services Authority promotes Jamaica as a jurisdiction for international financial services. Visit JIFSA at jifsa.gov.jm. The time by JIFSA is...
It's 6:53.
Enjoy peace of mind knowing that your hard-earned money is protected by the JDIC. That's right, the JDIC through the Deposit Insurance Scheme guarantees up to $1.2 million of your deposits in commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. This means your deposits, such as your savings and checking accounts, are covered. Rest easy, knowing that your deposits are secure. Your deposits always protected. For more information, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at JDICJAM, or visit our website at www.jdic.org.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Quite a lively discussion in the YouTube over that past segment. I know a lot of the YouTubers are particularly of the more elderly senior generation, and I know a lot of you have very strong opinions about this younger generation and their unwillingness to have children. I understand it. I understand it very much. But as to the question, I think some people keep asking me, where are my children? Let me put it this way. I am at the position in my life where I am willing, very much able, and it's not a matter of cost to me or unwillingness. It is a matter of finding the person who I wish to undertake that next stage and journey of my life. Let me put it that way. Let me put it a very radio-friendly way. Well, it's time for Around the World, listeners, and we turn to the Iran situation, where the tensions between the United States and Iran are increasing as the two countries remain locked in a dispute involving the strategically important Strait of Hormuz. The latest escalation follows exchanges of fire between the two countries, including attacks linked to vessels in the strait, one of the world's most important shipping routes. The strait has become a major focal point in the conflict because of its importance to international oil shipments and maritime trade. U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States will take on a greater role in securing Hormuz, saying other countries should help pay for these efforts. Iran, meanwhile, has maintained its position that it has a major security interest in the waterway, while tensions continue over who controls access and how international shipping should operate. The renewed clashes have raised concerns about a wider regional conflict and the possible effects on oil prices, trade, and global security. This all comes as Trump moves to reimpose a blockade on Iranian ports and float a new fee on ships using the Strait of Hormuz. Here's more from CNN, where they also shared a call that the president did with Fox News.
This all is clearly rooted in a lack of common understanding between the U.S. and Iran over what exactly the Strait of Hormuz is after that MOU went into effect. President Trump now saying this morning that the U.S. Will reimpose the blockade that had been on Iranian ports during the heat of the war. This had been one of the last remaining components of the memorandum that had remained intact, and so you can see how this agreement is now coming apart piece by piece. The president wrote on Truth Social that we are reinstating the Iranian blockade, so named because it is only stopping Iran's ships or customers from entering or leaving. And then he says that all other countries will have fair and open use of the strait. And then he goes on to say that the U.S. will be imposing a 20% fee on all cargo shipped. It's not clear who will be paying that fee, whether it's the shippers or whether it's countries who are allowing ships to go through, and that the U.S. will help navigate this waterway for this fee. Now, the president was on Fox News a little bit before he posted this on social media, expanding somewhat on this idea of fees being imposed. Listen to what he said there.
We've had 10 deals with these people, and so we're just going to hit them very hard, and we're going to keep the strait. And we'll probably run it. We'll become the guardian of the strait. Maybe we'll call it the guardian angel of the strait. And we should be reimbursed for that. When we do that, we're going to be reimbursed because the other nations are very wealthy. They're on our side. And we can't be expected to do that for nothing, unlike we had for many years. You know, we guarded the strait for 50 years more, and we never got paid for it. They made all the money, and the United States was just, they wouldn't. It's amazing. It's we never made. We guarded it for nothing, and now we're going to guard it. And we're going to get paid for guarding it.
Now, this idea of the U.S. charging fees in the waterway is something of a break from the administration's previous stance. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, just said a few months ago that this was an international waterway and that no country is allowed to charge tolls or fees on an international waterway. It's all part of this escalating standoff. You've already seen the price of oil start ticking back up. How the president plans to sort of extricate the U.S. and himself from this, I think at this point remains unclear.
So there you have it. The situation between Iran and the United States still very, very tense. And we hope those things are sorted out. But back on the topic that has the entire YouTube gripped again, these discussions in terms of my willingness to have children, I don't know if this is the right platform. That sounds like a hot seat discussion with the E-Zone. So I will leave it there. But on the wider topic, let me put it this way. I know there is a need to plan aspects of your life, and I think this is the problem that a lot of people my age and younger have. You do need to plan out certain aspects of your life. You see where a lack of planning may have had imposed a difficulty on your parents or your grandparents. But if you come to the point where you overthink and plan and think and overthink something, you'll never get it done. And I think when it comes to having, just say your first child or just having children in general, a lot of younger Jamaicans have that impediment where they've overthought it, and to the point they never end up in the situation where they have that child. Don't overthink it. Make sure you do the appropriate planning. Make sure the person you're settling down with is the person you want to settle down with. But don't think about, oh God, I'm not going to be able to afford formula. Oh God, am I going to be able to afford the school fee? I feel those are things, as they have when I grew up, will work themselves out if you have the proper discipline, education, and willingness to sacrifice for your child. But I leave it there, listeners. I'm getting the wrap-up signal. Thanks for joining us here at Nationwide at 5. Please stay tuned for the comment section next with Mahiri Stewart. Mahiri Stewart, I don't believe Shaloy is here this evening. She's on vacation. Thanks to our super producer, Sonia Stewart, our technical operator, Andrew the Glen, the big man, Boogs Anderson, as well as the best, and I'm being right, or intern Rihanna, also very useful in this segment. She helped put together that clip, that voice pop there. And thanks to the best production department and news department led by the very capable Cara Powell. Have a good evening.